This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org. Welcome to Truly Independent. I'm Garrett Batty alongside my co-host Darren Smith. Each week, we'll go in-depth with guests, industry experts, and we'll even share our own experiences, all with the goal of demystifying the independent film process. This season, it's all about the script, from the first spark of an idea to a polished final draft, breaking it down for scheduling, budgeting, and ultimately shooting. We'll walk through every step it takes to get from page to production. Welcome to Truly Independent.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Truly Independent. Garrett, it's good to see you again.
Darren, how are you?
No, long time no see. I really honestly debated if I should change my shirt between back-to-back episodes today. But we're here with another episode, which I'm very excited for. And we have not one, not two, but three guests joining us today. We have Adam, Judd, and Carter. Hello, guys. How's it going?
Hi, doing great.
Yeah, doing good.
Where are you guys? It looks sunnier there than it does here.
We're huddled in my kitchen in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's not as sunny. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sunny out here. It's a beautiful day. We were at a TV interview, and Carter was there, so we asked him to jump on the train with you guys. So I appreciate you accommodating.
Yeah.
Choo-choo.
So give the audience and us a little bit of a primer on who you guys are, what are you up to right now, and then we can dive into it because I'm sure we'll have lots of questions about the current project.
My name's Adam. This is Judd. This is Carter. Judd and I co-directed and co-produced a film called Wet Paper Bag, which is what we're going to talk a little bit about. We just finished it up. We did a theatrical run here, a regional theatrical run, and we picked up distribution through X4 Pictures, and that started all the VOD streaming on Amazon and all the major platforms as of June 2nd. So yeah, we're in like full promotion mode, just doing a lot of talking to people and trying to get the word out about our film. That's the main thing we're doing.
Amazing. Yeah, you guys are in the thick of it. So tell us a little bit about the movie. Is this like your first film? Is this your 30th film? Like where are we at in your guys' trajectory? Where are we catching you in your career here?
Yeah, so this is each of our first feature that we directed, and then Carter as a lead. Also your first feature as a lead.
My first feature period, actually. So.
Is that right? Hey, Carter, you just got signed now. Did we hear that correctly? You just got representation in New York?
Yeah, I just got some representation out in New York, and this was my first feature film. So yeah, this is definitely my origin piece, so to say.
This is the one that everybody will look back on when you've done it. You're like, that's where you got to start. Congratulations.
I hope so.
Hopefully the superhero trajectory, not the evil villain trajectory.
Yeah.
The origin story. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about this film specifically, and then we'd love to dive into like how it started, how it came around, like how long did it take to get into production? Maybe we start with those early stages.
Yeah, Wet Paper Bag is a psychological thriller that follows Michelle, a podcast host. Her and her producer go undercover to a wellness center to find her estranged sister, and in an attempt to figure out who they are and what's going on, something even more sinister is uncovered.
Judd, it doesn't sound like you've said that ever before.
No, we just
not rehearsed at all.
We did the TV thing, and Judd got asked that same question. And he's going to stick to the script.
Who's got it scripted now? That's us producers. We're not actors. We don't memorize lines, man.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, the producer behind the camera is going, stick to the script. Like, okay, it sounds amazing. And then you did a theatrical release on it. So the movie's already done and out.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a little bit of early press because we hired an incredible composer, and the guy has an Emmy, and he took the music from this film and submitted it to the Hollywood Music and Media Awards. And he was nominated twice, once for the best score in an independent film for all of the last year, and then once for the music in a trailer. So there's only 6 nominations per category in the entire world for people that are making films, and to see our name up on that roster was pretty awesome. Kind of like one of those moments where let's not screw up because we've got something that that has some accolades already and has some momentum. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of how this thing got kicked off as far as getting some media attention. And then we decided to send it out to. We didn't go the film festival route. That was a decision we decided to make. But.
You just did your own theatrical, or had somebody? How did that come together? Regional theatrical release.
We initially did a private screening where we just invited anyone who was connected to the film and their friends and family. That was kind of like a celebration and made it really fun. And then that was a way to kind of get the word out and to show our appreciation for everyone who was involved with it. But then afterwards, when we signed with it's X4, a distribution company, we arranged it so that they would have the distribution rights, but we would maintain any theatrical rights. So as far as our ability to put it in theaters, there was no clause or agreement that they would do that and not us. And they were really supportive of us doing it. So we just reached out to as many theaters and tried to figure out the right balance. Some of them want to do different splits or different costs, but ultimately we were able to go in a couple different places for 4 days in a row, and then we have one more coming up on June 15th in Woodbury. Be there, be square.
So let's go all the way back to the start of the idea. Where did this idea for this movie come from? Adam, you're the writer, if I'm reading this right. So where did the idea come from? How long did it take you to get from the idea to the script to we're going to make this thing?
So the way to think of this is there is the structure of the story, and then there's the theme and the spirit of it. Mm-hmm. So I would say the structure of the story I had initially come up with as a short film. When you're constrained by a certain budget, you write to shoot, and then you shoot to edit. So we wanted a concept that was something actually doable. I presented Adam with the story and the idea of turning it into a feature, and he really injected, like I said, the spirit and the themes and the subtext that go into it. So it started out as a small idea, and then when we started collaborating to turn into something larger, he put fingers to keyboard to turn into something so much bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we started talking about making a feature together in November of 23. And I had a script that I was excited about. It was like a Christmas-themed rom-com and very different from this movie. And then he's, talking about budget and how we need to try to have more containment in how we're setting this thing up because we don't have a lot of money to be able to shoot it. And so we've got to limit locations. We've got to limit the cast, the size of the cast. And he, came up with this idea of it being at this house where it's a psychedelic wellness center. And from that point, which was probably February of 2024 until we started shooting, I think we started shooting I can't remember, but it was probably 5 months from that until, so we developed a script and then cast it and found locations within probably 5 or 6 months would be my guess.
How did you get involved, Carter? How did they find you?
So I started out by doing a lot of theater work, and then at a certain point I wanted to start doing more film and on-camera stuff. So I auditioned for a short film where I ended up meeting one of the other leads in this film, Mike Breeden, who plays my father. And we worked on a short film together, and a couple of months later, he reached out to me asking if I wanted to do a short film called Wildcats, where I played a younger version of him. I said yes, and it was directed by these two. So I met them doing that project, and then we went through the little local film festival here, and then a couple months after that ended, I'd say, they reached out to me if I wanted to come and read through the script with them for the role of Janice, and I ended up doing it, and...
Well, first we asked his mom.
We asked the mother.
It's kind of, he was 13 on the set, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's an R-rated movie. There's a lot of adult content and some heavy stuff, and so we didn't know where his family would sit with that, but she's extremely supportive.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so obviously you had a good experience with them on the short, and it was worth going back for more fun and games.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Not only that, but it was writing some of these characters is, as you guys know, as filmmakers, it's tricky when you don't have any idea who you're writing for. And so I knew we could probably get him on board. We knew we were going to get Mike on board, who plays the main villain. I knew I'd be in it. So there we've got 3 of the main cast members that we kind of knew that they were going to be who we were writing for. Yeah. And I think that really helped us to write to people's strengths.
Yeah. Walk us through one of the hardest parts that we often talk about. If you're willing to share details and budgets and numbers and stuff like that, we love it, but we understand if you can't share those things as well. What was the financing process like? How did you land on a budget? How did you raise the money? Where did it all land so that you could come together in 5 months? That's pretty fast from script to shooting?
Yeah, so I don't always have the simplest answer for that, but for me, I just don't love the idea of when you scroll through GoFundMe and you see someone with a serious medical issue and they're asking for money and you're like, and also my art, please. So I knew we had some help with funding, but it's mostly self-funded. Like, we wanted to make this project in a way where everyone would have a piece of it and we would pay them as well. So what we did is offered our cast some of the back end, and it kind of stemmed from a book that Adam had recommended to me, Independent Ed, where the idea is everyone has some skin in the game and everyone owns a portion of the film. So we did pay people, but we knew that there was a gap between their worth and what we could self-finance and pay them. So we thought of it more like a startup and less like an established business. So we're still working together, and we're, in a sense, working for them to make their efforts worthwhile. We hope it happens, but it just seemed to reflect more of the reality of the situation. Like, I don't think there is some like secret fund where if you want to make a film in Minneapolis and you don't have an established record, that people are just dying to put you in the production line for a guaranteed product. We knew this was a risk, a big risk, and we didn't really want to sell it as anything else. It was an opportunity to make something beautiful, and if it becomes what we hope it can, then hopefully there's some economic reflection of that effort. Does that make sense?
It does, and it sounds like you guys have put in the time or developed enough of a reputation or good rapport with crew and cast that they buy into that. And they say, okay, yeah, these guys, if this is going to work, these are the guys that are going to make it work. Because we all know as independent film survivors that you can endlessly commit yourself to these back-end return projects or residual stuff that doesn't ever work. And the majority of the time it's because the movie doesn't even ever get made or released or finished.
We worked it a little bit backwards as well. So when we knew what we were creating, we had a very specific aesthetic in mind, and we felt like it would be something that has a lot of trailer moments or things that would help us with the marketing, because we also knew that we couldn't afford named actors. So we took that to a distribution company who the contact there was somebody I met at a Q&A at a film festival in town. And we pitched him on what we're trying to make. We showed him some of the storyboard stuff. We showed him the concept. And he went out of his way to say, if you guys can make this and you can deliver it on this budget, this is what I think that you can make, and actually wrote us a letter of intent. So we had that, number one, and then the second thing we did was we took one of the more visual moments and we shot that first. And so we had a proof of concept in the form of what it's going to look like and feel like and sound like, and this letter. And so then when we went to some of these very talented actors and cast and crew, we could say, A, you're going to be part of something that does look as cool as it looks on paper, but B, we're going to get this thing to the finish line. We're not, we're thinking about the end before we start, which, like you said, a lot of things never cross the finish line. So I think those two things really helped us to be able to pitch this to people in a way that brought them some confidence if they didn't know us.
I'm not going to take credit, but it sounds like you guys have listened to our podcast, so good job.
The real trick.
That's very, very cool. I think that's super smart and a ton of leverage to be able to say, look, we don't have a big budget that we can just throw money down and get you to be in our movie, but what do you have? What resources are there? Lining up distribution, at least a letter of intent, and lining up some of the production value to be able to de-risk the project. Super, super smart.
We did a couple table reads, and we asked actors in town to be a part of it. So when they came, did the table read, we actually ended up having Michelle, that's Nicole Weber, she plays that character. So when she did the table read, it's like we kind of knew that she was a great fit. But in having the table read, I think the experience of having the script come to life a little bit and seeing like how everyone could enjoy doing that, it was a nice pre-qualifier to the rest of the experience.
It also helped, I'm sure, at those table reads. I don't know as much, but you were asking like for advice and like feedback from the actual actors and people reading it, and I'm sure that must have helped build trust within the people that you're like actually willing to work. I know as an actor, like it's really good when you have a director that's willing to like work with you. And because you were asking for advice, because you were asking for this feedback, it showed that you're willing to work with the people who are willing to make these characters.
That's a great point. So then on the back end, so then you get X4, that how did that come together? They saw the film, or you took it to them and said, okay, here, it's all finished, now help us get it out there? Or what does that deal look like?
Yeah, I was just sending out to a lot of different distribution companies, emailing, cold calling, and then getting them screeners. And, we had a nice website put together that was, showed the vibe of everything. The trailer obviously was super important. And we know, we weren't kidding ourselves. These people are, maybe they'll watch the trailer, and then if they do, maybe they'll scrub the screener, right? But who's going to actually sit and watch the whole thing unless they are really, truly movie fanatics, which you find out quickly it's a business, baby, and they're just trying to move people through.
Show me the trailer and the poster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we almost signed with a different company, actually, and then X4 reached out to us the day we were going to sign with a different company, and one of the founders, his name is Ryan, got on the phone with us, and he was just so effortlessly honest and not trying to pitch us a big, it's going to be this and it's going to be this. And then also they were willing to put money into the marketing and helping to develop poster art and some of the key art. And a lot of other people weren't. They were almost just partnering with an aggregator where they wanted our movie and just bundle it and push it out. And, if we're going to go that route, we're just going to go to Film Hub or something else.
So I know we're kind of jumping back and forth from the release to the movie, but maybe it's fun. So what was one of the hardest things that you guys ran into during that kind of prep and development phase before you got to filming? Sometimes it's finding locations or nailing down an actor or getting some sort of agreement finalized so you can actually shoot. What was it for you guys on this one that was the thing that, if we don't figure this out, this movie doesn't happen?
I think it would just be finding the right moments where the necessary people are in the same physical place at the same time, and then figuring out how that works with our script. We didn't have an assistant director that would do all the logistics, so just making sure that we shot every scene in the film. We did have an assistant producer, Nikki, Carter's mom, but just making sure that we shot it so non-chronologically, making sure that we covered every scene, and then also making sure that we were able to get the right vibe for each scene, even though it was shot so non-chronologically. I think that was probably one of our biggest challenges.
And
so wait,
scheduling is tough. That's just.
So you did all of prep and the filming without a AD, without a script supervisor?
Yeah, my mother was our fill-in script supervisor.
Holy cow.
Obviously the film is done, but is there a moment where you'd say, okay, this is what I would change about our process? Or you're like, hey, we figured out a great way to cut the right corners?
There's so many. There's so many. It's almost like we would do the whole film, redo the Big Bang. I don't know.
You just learn, that's what indie film is. Okay, we always say on set, I always have to remind people, guess what? Nobody's ever made this movie before, and we're just figuring it out. We're going to make this movie the way that we have, and it sounds like you guys had that same mindset.
You have a vision in your head, and then it's like an imagination, and then you share it with other people, and you can't be sure that it's the same, but you hope it's similar enough. And then when all those imaginations go from inside your head to something that a camera and a microphone can capture, you hope that it's something similar and good or even better than you were able to imagine. And if everyone persists in chasing that vision, that's how you do it. And just like with Carter said, how having us ask for input with the table read and us not having an assistant director, it's what we did have is buy-in from everybody. Mm-hmm. And everyone had the same end game in mind, that we're going to take this from something that just exists as an idea and make it into something that can be perceived by the rest of the world.
So how big was your crew, and how many days did you guys film for?
Yeah, we wanted it to be more guerrilla style because we knew we were going to be able to get more coverage that way. Every person that you add to the team, you're slowing the process down. There was one vital mistake that we made for sure. If you're asking if we could go back and change anything, the number one thing we would change is we would have had a dedicated sound person. We put that on our DP, so he was trying to DP and help with running sound. And there's scenes where there was a boom cable that had a short in it, and we got back and all of a sudden that whole day's footage scrambled. And so we're trying to figure out how to fix that in post. And we spent way more time and money in post fixing the audio than we would have if we would have just done it the right way from the beginning. And, that goes back to the budget. When we were trying to figure out what we could afford, There was one number that we had in mind, and then that number doubled, and then that number almost doubled again. But we would have ended up saving money if we would have had that additional key member of our crew. But as far as our total crew, I mean, there was days where it was just Judd and I on set and one actor, and then there was days, and we'd do all the lighting and we'd do all the sound and everything, and then there was days that we had the two different DPs, and then they might have a first camera or somebody that was helping them. So it just depended on the day, I guess.
And how many days did you guys film for?
20-ish, 21, 22,
Wow.
somewhere in there. There was some days where we'd go out and we'd shoot for 4 hours and just grab, a scene or a part of a scene. And then there was days that were 14 hours, so.
Yep. We've all
Carter, what's one of your big favorite moments or takeaways from the production from on set?
I think for me, this is just like a funny story, which I always remember, is for one of the shots, I'm actually standing on my mom's back because we didn't have a stool. So, I'm looking down in the windowsill down at this detective that's walking up to the house, and I wasn't tall enough to get up to the windowsill, and we didn't have any chairs or stools or anything, so I had to stand on my mother's back, and I just think that really shows how much everybody was willing to really dedicate everything for this project.
He sounds like the unsung hero of this shoot. Yeah, was that when she was ADing or scripting or being the human apple box?
Yes.
The human apple box.
associate producer and Applebox.
And then same question, Judd or Adam, for you. What's a takeaway from on set where you're like, okay, this is a memorable moment right here. This is why we're doing this. Does that exist? Does that moment exist?
Yeah, there's a flashback scene where Mike Breeden, who plays Don Haberman, kind of one of the main characters, he's a main antagonist in the film. He just had to release a really, deep or intense it was a very emotional performance, and I just feel like the way that he was all in on that and how intense that was is something I won't forget. I just feel like he threw his entire self into that moment, and that's, you can capture something that isn't magic and try and polish it into magic, but if you can get it to actually feel like magic and be magic live and then you capture it, I just think that's the good stuff. Great parts in our movie are great because they were arranged and performed as such when we shot them, and that one for me really stands out.
I think of Nicole in the forest as well, Rabbit Bit.
Yeah, for me it was the same moment as Judd and I were exactly like this, standing shoulder to shoulder in a river. I was holding the boom mic and Judd was on camera and the sticks were in the water, and we had one take at this. We had all these extras because it's this cult scene, and they have to come, the main cast is running down this steep grassy hill and into the water, and it's this very emotional scene. We didn't have extra clothes. If somebody screws this up, I'm sorry. Everyone goes home and we have what we have. So we had one shot, but there was this total silence after that wide was captured, where Judd and I were just sitting there with our mouths open. It was so intense and so emotional, and the extras that we had, many of them had never been on a set before, and a lot of them were crying. That's what we mean by that magic was there. We captured it, but it wasn't because it was, fabricated. It was palpable. It was really cool to be a part of that.
That's cool. So where was Carter's mom during that shot? That's what I want to know. Who was standing on Carter's mom?
I think she was getting her back adjusted or something.
He was the sticks, Garrett. Trying to
water
the camera up.
That's
So
awesome.
we kind of covered how we got through the film production. It's now, I can see it on the website, streaming June 2nd, so it's available everywhere now. How are you guys feeling at this moment, and then what's next for you guys?
Cautiously optimistic, but still grounded and ready for whatever comes our way as far as reactions. I mean, you really hope that the art speaks for itself and that it's shared and appreciated just because of what it is. But at the same time, a lot of art is divisive. If people don't love it, that's okay too. But you hope they do.
And you've played it in the theater, so you've seen audience reaction.
Them all walk out of there about halfway through and trying to talk them out of it.
Sit down. Wait, it's not over.
It's not done.
That was another moment when you asked, from a moment, it was yes, when you're making it, but also sitting in we had 400 people or so at the screening and sitting there with all those people and just hearing the reactions and the laughter at the moments that we hoped were funny.
Yeah.
There's this moment where it's almost like suffocation, and you could feel people stop breathing in the theater. And it's like, how awesome is that they're reacting and feeling that all together, and that's your art. So, yeah, I think that was absolutely a moment that night as well.
So cool.
Okay, what is something that you can tell us about the distribution side that maybe a first-time filmmaker should look for or should be cautious of, or how did you approach that? What can you tell us about that?
It depends on where the first-time filmmaker is in the process, but it's something that I wish we would have looked at the beginning as far as like deliverables. Like there are certain specs and certain technical requirements when it comes to delivery. It would be worth taking a look at what those generally are when you get started, because the process of your film lives on your computer in a specific format, but then how do you change that to a format that can be digested on different platforms? That is a much more involved technical feat than you would expect. So I would definitely say keep your eye on that in the beginning, because you don't want to create a problem later on.
Darren and I literally just recorded an episode with a guy that wrote a book called The Deliverables Playbook, and it's addressing exactly what you're talking about. And I agree 100%. Every first-time filmmaker, eighth-time filmmaker, or 30th-time filmmaker needs to have the Deliverables Playbook, and it's just a checklist to say, this is what I'm going to need from day one. Because no matter how good your film is, or bad, the distributor's not going to touch it if you don't have the deliverables that are needed for them to make a deal. Any insight on that?
Yeah, when we were pitching this to different distribution companies, we knew that we had something that was marketable because we designed it that way. Like, we knew that's so much of this whole thing. Like, we all love making a great film, but if there aren't those trailer moments, if there's not something that, you know, when you're looking at people on TikTok and all the social media platforms, you have 1.5 seconds to stop them from scrolling. So what is the imagery telling them in 1.5 seconds? Because they're not going to get a monologue out of that. You know what I mean? So when we were pitching this to different distribution companies, we knew we had a package. Like, we sent them the electronic press kit, and it had some great stills, and it showed this great synopsis. But still, like, to get them from that to the trailer, and then to get them from the trailer to the screener. And then when they did finally start calling and we had these meetings, we just had some questions that we knew right away that some of these people never even watched the movie, and they're trying to pitch us on why we should sign up with them. And it's like, we had one group telling us that because there's no drugs in this and because there's no violence, that'd be great on this platform. It's like, it's rated R. Like, I don't know. So it was apparent that they'd probably never watched the film, and that we're just a number to them. And so that made that choice easy. But yeah, as far as what to look for from distribution companies, I think that the fact that these guys were willing to match or put some money in and put some money into the marketing, that seemed like a big vote of confidence for us.
I had another one too. Yeah, I think one of the reasons I really liked Ryan from X4 is I think he is, I'm not sure, but I think he's in a parallel situation that we're in. Like, as filmmakers and as distributors, like, generally speaking, we all have the same problem. We love an art form that is not like a straightforward financial gain. Like, we need to find a way to keep the religion of cinema alive. We all do. And there's this sense, that an allure of glamour or ease that I think pervades people's hopes. But at some point, you got to realize that, like, everyone is in a similar struggle, and it's going to take something like creative and interesting and more than just liking what you yourself can make. And so I just get the impression that X4, like Ryan in particular, I think he's thinking outside of the box about how we can keep this thing alive and find a home for our baby. And it's not, it's not as straightforward and simple, and no one, it's the cavalry's not coming,
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like you've been very pleased with X4, and I love hearing a filmmaker talk highly of their distributor or sales agent, because more often than not, that's the opposite situation that people find themselves in.
We love hearing the stories of indie filmmakers who figured it out, went and made their thing, told the story they wanted to tell. I love that you guys did it fairly strategically as well. Along the way, you kind of architected little moments of, here's how we're going to get this, and we're going to do this to leverage this later, and super smart way of doing it. So congrats on the movie. Congrats on the distribution deal, especially. Carter, congrats on your first lead role.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What's next for you guys?
The next script.
Yeah. Gotta talk to my wife and how I can do it again. But yeah, it's a matter of, raising or saving some more money, starting the next project. I know I've already started writing something, which I'm really excited about.
Yes.
You're already working on a documentary.
Yeah.
Audition for more stuff. Hopefully something will land. Yeah. Or just wait for him to write more things and then be in them.
That's so great, man. And I love to hear that people want to do it again because it's hard. It's hard to make a film. Everything seems to be working against you at every phase of the process when making a film. And to be able to look on the other side of it, it's still alive and still swinging. Okay, let's do it again. That's fun. It means the experiment worked. So,
How many movies have you guys made together?
We've done 2 together, produced Garrett's last 2 films, but he's done 8 to date, and I just wrapped on my 5th film. That'll be out in the fall.
That's awesome.
Dang.
Yeah. Again, like you said, it's so hard that it just takes passionate people to keep doing it. This business would not be still alive and still thriving without the people that are passionate for it. Because I feel like the people that are in it for the fame or are in it for like money or things like that, those are the people where they fall out of love with it and they fail when they see how really hard it is. And that's why you need people that are dedicated to the craft.
I'm excited. Congratulations. Thank you. You guys are doing the press tour now. And thanks for squeezing us in.
Yeah. Thanks for
It's
having us.
awesome
Yeah,
to
thank
get
you
a
so
chance.
much.
Yeah, and then please keep us posted on your future work because it's fun to follow filmmakers and we want to just celebrate your success.
Same to you guys.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be following you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming on.
This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org. Thanks for joining us. Please share and subscribe for future episodes. Today's episode was edited by Sam Hansen and produced by 3 Coin Productions.